Is this loud?
Yeah.
A sister is someone that loves you from the heart. No matter how much you argue, you cannot be drawn apart. She is a joy that cannot be taken away. Once she enters your life, she is there to stay. A friend who helps you through difficult times. Her comforting words are worth much more than dimes. A partner who fills your life with laughs and smile. These memories last for miles and miles. When she is by your side, the world is filled with life. When she is not around, your days are full of strife. A sister is a blessing who fills your heart with love. She flies with you in life with the beauty of a dove. A companion to whom you can express your feelings. She doesn't let you get bored at family feelings. Whether you're having your ups or downs, she always helps you with a smile and never frowns. With a sister, you cannot have a grudge. She is sweet as chocolate and smooth as fudge. Having a sister is not just a trend. It is knowing you can always turn to her, your best friend. And that is Deb. On June 18th, 1959, in Indianapolis, Indiana, Deb Bowen made her first mark on our world. Now, I have some very brief historic comments here that I'm sure are going to be fact-checked later on by this group up here, but I don't care. The story goes that about within 2 years of her life, she was already word for word reciting the Gettysburg Address, which you can see the mark that Debbie was going to set. Otherwise, it also could have been just our father's complete obsession with the Civil War. Growing up, Deb lived throughout the country, Indiana, Alabama, but from about age 8 through high school, she lived with us in Northern Illinois, where she would break free. Because Deb realized that, most of you probably don't know the name, but Deb realized that Ingleside, Illinois, Fox Lake, Illinois, where the wonderful high school Grant community was too small for her. She realized that that would not allow her to go out and do what she wanted to accomplish. So, the other thing she knew was that, and probably those, obviously I'm pretty sure, that the world would be her stage. And the world would be a place where she could define herself. So, Mount Holyoke, Uniformed Services University, Texas, St. Louis, Boston. But of course, really, where she really found her footing, professionally and personally, was right here in the Emerald City, her beloved, our lovely Seattle, Washington, at the Fred Hutch and UW. So, thank you very much for being here tonight with us. On behalf of my sister Linda, Deb's wife.
Your sister Linda.
As well as, skip the next one. As well as my sister Candy and her family. And my wife Nadine and my family. We appreciate you being here with us to remember, tell stories, and really celebrate what Deb has always meant to us in our lives. Now, while we wish, I will say the beauty of having a smaller family, which we do, is this is it. These tables, that's our family. With the exception of three very close people, her nephew, Ryan Hill, his wife, Dana, and their two little children, Bowen and Tate, were unable to make the trip because her two little children are two little children. So it probably would not have been a great trip for them. But we do miss them dearly. They're a big part of our family. But our family is obviously not very large, and we're very close. And we wish you all had other places to be tonight. As we all wish we had other places to be tonight. But the opportunity to celebrate Deb and with Deb is so important. You do notice that several of us in the family are wearing red, or at least a piece of red. One of my granddaughters has red hair. And I see some other red out there. And those, obviously, red was Debbie's favorite color. Nobody else knows this, but there's a website called National Whatever Day, so National Hot Dog Day, National Burrito Day. I actually made a request that August 20th would be National Red Color Day. Oh, I haven't heard yet. Wrote a story, maybe they'll accept it, maybe not, but maybe next year we can celebrate National Red Color Day. So believe it or not, Debbie and I actually talked about tonight's proceedings at Christmas time. It was a light conversation. Sounds strange, but it was. But we were here visiting family. All of us were here together. And she and I were sitting at an Airbnb on a couch, and we just started talking about, both our parents had passed away, and I delivered a message like this for them. And we started talking about it and said, what should it look like? And not for Deb, but for either one of us. And we decided, we made a pact that whichever of us needed to do this first, we would have to promise to keep it upbeat and have it be a celebration. The analogy for me was that it would be like many of the parties and entertainment that Debbie and Linda would put together at their houses. And for anyone that has not had that opportunity, you've missed out, but it's always a blast when you go to and by the way, this is awful. You get a little extra. So growing up, and we lived with Deb and Linda for a while, very gracious of them, but you have Debbie, you have Linda, and you have Deb and Linda. Deb and Linda was almost like an extra entity. So every once in a while you may hear me say Deb and Linda, that's because of that. So Deb and I talked about maybe making this like a roast, which obviously my sister is in favor of. Because we thought it would be kind of funny to have people come up and give anecdotes about Deb's life or my life. It's the other way around. And I could just see Debbie right now if folks did do that. And there's a very famous pose of Debbie, you probably saw it in a couple of slideshows where her arms are crossed and she'll grin, and then when she laughs, she goes. So I could see Debbie doing that right now. We brainstormed games that we could play. We talked about, I did a lot of, in my job, I did a lot of sales, personal development meetings, and I did these tasks at meetings. So we talked about those and thought, hey, maybe I'll do something from the sales meeting. Like one of the things as you would enter the room, we would hand out playing cards. And you'd each get a playing card, because right now you're sitting with people you know and like. And I would then say, whoever has the ace of clubs, sit up there. And you would no longer sit in your friendly, comfortable seats. Or we could walk around the room and ask what your favorite superpower is, or what would be your superpower, your favorite candy bar, things like that. So Deb and I talked about that. We chuckled, and she said no. And I did not bring it up on any of the Zoom planning meetings we had for tonight because I knew Linda, Candy, and Nadine would all say, "You're not coming." But just in case the crowd gets unruly, so watch out. All right. I do think still though that the roast would have been a good idea. And I could see people coming up telling jokes and see Debbie laughing. And I'm sure everybody right now has one in mind if you want to share it later. I did though bring one thing that I would like you guys to partake in, so it will be a little bit of participation, kind of your price for comment. On your tables, you see some index cards right now. Should be enough, hopefully, if my grandchildren. For maybe 2 to 3 of you per piece. If you're missing one, maybe the other table's got one, you can arm wrestle for it. And there are a couple pens. What I'd like you to do as the night goes on, which I think we're booked until 3 in the morning. As the night goes on, please, maybe jot down something about your remembrances with Deb, your celebration with Deb. Maybe it's a word, maybe it's a phrase. Maybe you saw something, we had some words up here on the screen. I know in the food area there were some plaques with words. But if you have something, write it down. I will tell you a little bit what I'd like you to do with those. But it's just a thought. Help me thinking about this would be a way to maybe share some ideas. So it's clear we all knew Deb from different perspectives in her life. And if you watched the slideshow, you saw that that's definitely the case. And as we put that together, there were many pictures that I saw. I'm like, oh, I remember that with camping and all this. But then I see all these pictures with all these other people in Deb's life. And even though I know she had that life, it was so real to me that she touched every single person in the world. And the thoughts and memories that we all have will always be cherished. I have no doubt in that. But since I'm standing here as your brother, you get to listen to mine. And I won't be. So Deb, to me, is truly an enigma. The reason I say that is she is a foremost scientist, a psychologist, a researcher, a dignitary. Most know she's spoken at with governing officials throughout the world about health issues. Her drive and passion to help others in their life battle with cancer has been extraordinary. I've had the fortune of seeing Debbie at her place of work, and an intense individual driven to where she wanted to go and what she needed to do. Deb, here's the enigma part, because I have a professional, just strong. She is also a devoted wife, a beautiful person, an amazing aunt, a coach, a mentor, a leader, an adventurer, a chef. She's my sister and one of the best friends in my life. She has a phenomenal sense of humor. Here's the best part, she knows how to use it. Because sometimes it's silent. But she uses her sense of humor, again, in my opinion, mainly to make others feel better. Deb knows how to quietly own a room while engaging others to think. I've always admired her deeply. I've always been in awe of her. She has been much of the inspiration in all of the roles of my life. Her sense of life and comfort within it is not matched. Now, my thoughts could continue for quite some time, but you're not all here just to listen to me, and we don't want to be here until next time. By the way, did the marriage? And before I'm going to turn this over to some cherish individuals. Before I do that, I'd like to sum up with a few lessons. As Deb has always been teaching me, and I can tell you she still is. And I'll keep this brief to just 4 points, because again, it would take a long time if I went through everything that she's taught me in my life. The first is to always be gracious, giving, and generous. Active, proactive, and reactive. Generosity comes in many forms. Most often it's time and emotion that you provide. Deb is a great listener, as I'm sure most of you are aware of. I have just a few examples of that in our lives. And again, I'm sure that many of you have those same examples. But when we were young and first married here in Alaska with the United States Air Force, keeping the country safe from the Russians. But we had a couple of issues up there. We were young and didn't have a lot of money, and we all know today about lactose intolerance. Back then, it was brand new, kind of. I think at least in our circles, maybe in the science field, but in our circles it was. And in Fairbanks, Alaska, there was very little opportunity to resolve that issue of lactose intolerance, and a couple of our kids had the problem. So, kind of unbeknownst to us, we started getting these pills in the mail from Debbie that we could put in our children's milk or whatever else that they had the issue, and they just kept coming. And we never asked for them; they just kept coming. And then every once in a while, we'd get a check, and then from Debbie, just here's a check, and Nadine and I would be like, "Holy smokes!" Yeah, she's family, she's my sister, but it was amazing. To me. And then the last piece of this was we leave the Air Force and decide to go out and join the real world and find a job and raise our family, and we had really nowhere, a couple of places to go. We chose Seattle. And we marched into Deborah's house, took it over. We have 3 children, and you can imagine Deb and Linda have their house with Chuckles, their dog, and here comes brother, sister-in-law, 3 young children who are rambunctious. We took over their house for a year. And then they bought a house that we could live in for a year, and then we bought a house and left them standing with 2 houses. And here's the best part, we didn't ask for anything. They did. The lesson for me is to always be generous, giving, and gracious. Second is to be curious and adventurous. Debbie is one of the 3 most curious people I know. The other 2 have also passed, my father and Nadine's father. The 3 of them never stop asking questions. Sometimes you want to tell them to stop. But no matter the situation, Deb's ears are always perking as she's always seeking to learn more, no matter the time. I can't count the number of times she would make the simple remark, huh? Ask her the question again, and she goes, huh? So part of that is to accept your opportunities with open arms and to try everything. And I think that's very key. And I think those that have been around Debbie realize, for the most part, that that's how she led her life. Be willing to open doors for others to do the same. And I think that's more of what Debbie did on the curiosity and the adventure side of things. And I see it with my children, my sister's children, and now our grandchildren. Is Debbie always said, let's go on an adventure and let's do this. She provided that path forward. The third thing is that it is never too late. It is never too late. We can always find time to fix, repair, amend, and do something different. So I mentioned after high school, Debbie bolted, left, which was absolutely the state of canning I wanted to do, but she bolted out of there, and because of her commitment to her life moving forward, she became something that we weren't always able to get hold of. We wanted Debbie, and she tried to get back sometimes, but she was so committed to rats at the university of whatever, and she was just so focused. But what Debbie found as life grew and she got older and we all came together as a family was that she became the matriarch and patriarch of our family. She brought everything back together. And she realized that we can always bring ourselves and others to the present while learning and using our experiences of the past. She became a unifier in her life, not just as the role of sister, but also as the father and mother. And the last one is to live in the moment. Don't lose the moment you have today, even while your eyes value the future and what it beholds, which is important. But realize that this moment right now is as important, if not more important, than the future. Don't lose it. And my example for that is the slideshow you saw. So we spent a lot of time putting those pictures together, and thank you to anyone in the room that sent us some, because I had quite a few and did a lot of scanning, but I received emails with probably another 100 photos that we threw on there. And what was neat was often I would look at those photos and say, oh, I gotta send this to them. Oh, I remember this. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Let me get this off to them. And I couldn't. So the lesson that building the slideshow that I came up with was, why do we wait? And I don't want to wait. I would love to be able to share them today. But I ask all of you at some point in time, go in your closet, pull out photos, send them to people, don't wait. So, Deb, I know you will always be with us. I already miss you immensely. Your lessons for me have no end, and I will always do my best to live up to your ideas. I told my family that I do not want to imagine a life without you. So tonight is my first step in realizing that. Actually, I don't know if I mentioned this, but I wrote it as I mentioned. There are a few people that are going to share some words with us tonight, several really wonderful, close colleagues, dear friends and family members. And following me first, we're going to have some colleagues come up. I will ask them to introduce themselves as they come up. And you guys come up now if you'd like. Also, though, family has been one of the most endearing parts of Deb's life. Our children have always been very close with Deb, and they've thrived in their relationships with her aunt, who has been a very dear, dear friend to them. She has always graced them with her life. She's had fun, but she's also had some very tough conversations with them, which I think Nadine and I, Gary and Candy all appreciate. So we've asked them to share their connections with Debbie as well, and from youngest to oldest. So with that, thank you. Before we do that, I will tell you the index cards, because once I'm done, I'm not coming back up. So what I'd like you to do with those index cards, again, as the night goes on, if you don't feel like it, it's fine. They'll throw them away. If you don't use them. I'm not taking them home.
I'll take them home. Don't throw away index cards.
I would like you, if you do write something, a word, a phrase, I actually would like you to take it home. Put it in a drawer, post it on your refrigerator, pin it on a bulletin board, and use it to celebrate your life with Debbie and those words hopefully will mean something to you. So with that, again, thank you. The colleagues that are going to speak should come up anytime. First, and I will introduce the first one because it's a very special introduction. I'd like to have first Ethan Zoller is going to speak with us, and Ethan is speaking on representative of the Zoller family. Nobody in the room knows the Zoller family, but his father Norm is our father's best friend. Norm has known Deb longer than anyone else alive. And so this is a very special opportunity for Norm, who his parents could not be up here for this, or for Ethan to share with us his thoughts from his family about Deb. And then the other folks will talk, and when they're done, our kids or Deb's nieces and nephews will come up, and then we'll be able to get you guys back to some fun celebration and gathering. So again, thank you very much, and hopefully I don't have to use these.
That's a tough act to follow. I'm David Tristan Zoller. It's a mouthful, but as Kev was just talking about, I'm the son of Norman Zoller, whose best friend in college was Deb's father, Kingston. King, as some of you may know, introduced my parents to each other. My parents live in Atlanta and could be here today, but I live here in Seattle, and so I'm honored to be with you all to share a few of our memories. My dad met Deb when she was 3 years old. By way of introduction, Kevin's already spoiled. Deb crawled up into his lap and recited the Gettysburg Address. My dad turned to King and Amy and said, "This is a very smart girl. Big things are in store for her." He was right. Others would learn about Deb's native and nurtured gifts, which I imagine we'll hear more about. Fast forward a bit. The Bowens lived in Chicago. My family lived in Cincinnati. We drive up to visit them at the Fox Lake House. In winters for ice skating, in summers for water skiing, year-round for midnight meals and conversation. During that time, I was maybe 11. Daddy was at college, singing with the V8s at Napoleon. Sometimes you get to see that. My family got a copy of the album that her group made on vinyl. I listened to the Amoeba song so many times as a kid that a few years ago, even though Deb and I had fallen out of touch, I performed it at the birthday party of a biostats friend. In writing to me about Deb, my dad included a poem by the World War II paratrooper on Senish. Senish wrote, "There are stars whose light comes to Earth after they themselves are gone. There are people whose memory shines after they themselves are no longer with us. These lights, which shine in the darkest night, are those that illuminate for us the path. We remember Deb, and she still illuminates for us the path."
Hello, my name's Connor. I'm actually one of Deb's nephews, but I'll be reading today on behalf of Neil Grunberg, who I understand was Deb's first mentor. I was told that I was reading for him because I look like him. Never met him, but I think he's watching, so I hope that's a compliment to us. So these, again, are the comments by Neil E. Grunberg. I met Deb Bowen in 1981 when she was applying to earn a PhD in medical psychology at the Uniformed Services University of the Health Sciences, Bethesda, Maryland. It was immediately clear that Deb was unusually authentic and comfortable with herself. I was struck by her gentle manner and voice that was in marked contrast to her powerful personality, physical strength, and athleticism. Deb was one of a kind. She was bright, respectful, curious, caring, open, kind, generous, and self-aware. In addition to her intellectual strengths, she was extraordinarily generous, almost to a fault. For example, when she was late to a meeting, it was always because she was helping someone in some way. For example, changing someone's tire, or helping someone to cope with life challenge or serious stress. Deb was a unique character. During graduate school, she lived in a house with no door. Literally no door. In the middle of Bethesda, Maryland. She also coached kids soccer at a local YMCA. One day, Deb showed up at my office with her glasses taped up because a soccer ball had smashed. Her glasses were so crooked that it was obvious she could not see well. Especially obvious in the chemistry lab, where she already had some challenges with body motor skills and careful attention to measuring small quantities of fluid. I think that was a roast. But nothing stopped her from learning, working, and helping others. Deb contributed to every study and to every other person. She defined being a generous teammate. One day, Deb came with me to the National Cancer Institute, where I was consulting. I remember the look on Deb's face when walking into the children's cancer ward. She found her calling. When Deb completed her PhD, she was selected to be the sole PhD graduation student speaker at the Kennedy Center for all departments and programs. She went on for a postdoc with Bonnie Spring at Texas Tech. We stayed in close contact and discussed her career goals. When an opportunity opened at the Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center, Deb was clearly a great candidate. So we went together to the Hutch to meet the people and to explore the career possibility. Deb was successful there, went on to continue success at Boston University, and then back to the University of Washington, where she was an outstanding faculty member and mentor. As expected, Deb had a meaningful and influential career as a scientist, teacher, leader, collaborator, and mentor. Just last year, I asked her to join a scientific advisory board for an innovative project using machine learning to address social determinants of health and cancer. Recently, we found ourselves together once again, both as mentors for the Society of Behavioral Medicine Mid-Career Leadership Program. Like many of you, I love Deb. She will always be with me, and I hope that I will always make her as proud of me as I was of her.
Thank you. So my name is Alistair Patrick, and I'm speaking on behalf of my mom, Shirley Bears, who was able to meet us this evening. So I'm reading her words. It is an honor to talk to you this evening about Deborah J. Bowen, my colleague and really good friend. To me, Deb was generous and warm, often understated, and always courageous. I benefited from our friend relationship in countless ways over the years, and I would like to tell you about her from my personal experience as we celebrate her life here this evening. Our lives and work intersected for about 33 years. We were both associated with a small band of faculty who were part of Maureen Anderson's cancer prevention research program in the late 1980s. The atmosphere generated an expectation of collaboration, and those collaborations grew into what was later recognized as team science. Deb and I came at problems from different scientific backgrounds and worked with many of the same colleagues on different projects. Given the state of cancer prevention at that time, we were both excited about the promise of dietary intervention studies, and the early 1990s found us both working on a landmark study, the Women's Health Initiative, which sought to evaluate promising intervention ideas specific to improving the health of older women. On the personal side, my husband Donald Patrick and I each became close friends with Deb, In the early years, she was often over at our house, where we hosted gatherings of social and behavioral science faculty and students in biobehavioral cancer prevention and control fellows and mentors. Deb got to know our children, Alistair and Mira, while they were growing up, and I relied on her to provide safety net cover on occasions when Donald and I are away together. And I'm very grateful for her comment, as is Deb was always deeply thoughtful. I loved discussing with her study opportunities to fill needed gaps on the pathway to improving the health of both. We each looked for groups that are defined by ways people come together on a regular basis. While I focused on primary care clinics, work sites, and schools, Deb's innovative thinking led her to engage with churches, ranges, and barbershops, for example. Weaving back to some of our personal memories, on the occasion of one of Donald's and my wedding anniversaries, Deb and Linda planned a surprise gift. They arranged for us to have a weekend away together out of the corner without the tour. They stayed in our house and looked after Alistair and Mira. That cemented a sort of honorary and status for Deb and during Mira's high school years. Deb and Linda occasionally invited Mira and our dog to stay at their house, something everyone enjoyed. Deb had the ability to see the big picture and integrated different parts of her training and conceptualizing research intended to deepen understanding of how disease evolves. Together with colleagues, we struggle to understand aspects of the mind-body connection in relation to obesity. Deb always challenged us to clarify our thinking in these discussions and remained committed to teasing out the best approach. Donald and I had numerous opportunities to enjoy Deb's excellent creative cooking at Deb and Linda's hospital and ours. Wherever it was, Deb created a warm and welcoming atmosphere, sharing in the cooking or serving or being out. We talked about traveling to new places and had all hoped to travel together last year. Deb's appreciation of live music and her extraordinary generosity led her to regularly support my participation in Seattle Music. Deb attended as many of our concerts as she could. In fact, it is the first concert in Seattle Music's 50th anniversary year that has kept me from being here. Deb, it was a privilege to know you. We will miss you, but you always have such a place in our hearts. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Mandy Morneau, and I am a staff member in the Department of Bioethics and Humanities at the University of Washington. And a couple of my colleagues were unable to be here tonight, and they're very, very sorry to have to miss it. And Malia Fullerton is our interim chair right now, and she wrote some beautiful words, and I have the privilege of sharing them with you. So here it goes. Family, friends, and colleagues, thank you for celebrating and honoring the life of our departmental colleague, Deborah Bowen. I wanted to offer just a few brief remarks on behalf of the UW Department of Bioethics and Humanities, both to remind everyone of the academic home in which Deb ended her amazing career, and to mark her significant and lasting impact on her colleagues in the School of Medicine. Deb joined our department in 2014 after serving as a professor and chair in the Department of Community Health Sciences of the School of Public Health at Boston University. While her time at Boston was productive, we became aware that Deb and Linda might be looking to return to the Pacific Northwest, and we're fortunate to attract her to a research-focused position in our department. Upon joining us in bioethics and humanities, she quickly reestablished her prior research relationships, helping to lead research and mentorship in our department, as well as elsewhere in the UW School of Medicine, and most especially as a core faculty member for the Institute for Public Health Genetics in the UW School of Public Health. Although Deb was not a bioethicist by training or background, her lifelong focus on identifying and reducing health disparities in diverse populations, including disparities based on race, ethnicity, tribal status, gender, socioeconomic status, and sexual orientation, was fundamentally an ethical project. Her work was therefore an important complement to the interests of many of us in the department, and in direct alignment with our stated mission of promoting better health through social justice. By studying biobehavioral determinants of diverse forms of healthcare delivery and health promotion, including cancer prevention and genomic medicine, Deb sought to move the needle on significant public health problems. Deb's nationally recognized empirical research notwithstanding, she was also an especially generous advisor and mentor, guiding the nascent research careers of multiple generations of junior faculty and trainees, both in bioethics and humanities and public health genetics, as well as in many other institutions across the United States. The impact of that level of sustained and significant mentorship is exceedingly difficult to measure. I know that many of us gathered here tonight, whether in person or online, were the direct beneficiaries of Deb's careful and yes, sometimes quite critical guidance and advice. The beauty of such mentorship is the ways in which it naturally feeds itself forward. Deb's legacy lives on in so many of us, and for that we can and should be justifiably proud. There's more that we could all say about Deb, but this is probably enough. Please know how much we miss our dear faculty colleague. We join you in both mourning her passing and celebrating her remarkable life and career.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Jackson-Tree. I was Deb's student mentee at Boston University some 12 or 13 years ago. Turned colleague and beautiful friend at the time. I want to begin by thanking family and Linda for tonight for giving us all the space and opportunity to honor one of the great ones in this world. So let's do that. So in addition to that, family, you have an army of people here who put their hands metaphorically, literally, perhaps with love and affection as you move through this process. We stand with you. This is actually harder than I anticipated. Okay. So I'm really proud to say that a few of my colleagues have occasionally, very occasionally, and affectionately called me a mini Deb. I'm really glad you're laughing. There's no greater compliment. Let's be honest. Cheers to that, seriously. But there were so many ways in which we were quite different. Ways that made us both laugh really hard for our bellies. For example, some of you who know Deb very well might know that fashion and time spent contemplating and executing a cute outfit was entirely masculine. Deb frequently commented that she did not, quote, understand my clothing options, the decisions. You're so funny. I remember a time at a conference, we were together, one of the many hundreds of conferences we went together, and she said, and I think affectionately, how does that very tiny denim jacket keep you warm? This denim jacket was very cute, it was white, it was cropped. It was worn with a very smart salmon colored pencil skirt. And I was equally baffled at her as she was at me when I said, it doesn't need to keep me warm, it's just cute. We both laughed. We both laughed. We love laughing, love laughing. And so I want to just name it one of today's ensemble with the off-the-shoulder sweater and the blocky heels. The tiny, tiny pants were really a tribute to Deb's complete misunderstanding of that. This it is cute. Non-functional clothing is my jam. I am so lucky. And since you're all here, I know that you're just as lucky as me. Our lives have been forever changed for the better because of the incomparable Dr. Deborah J. Bowen. Her friendship, her leadership, her love, her science, with it all, she permanently altered our life trajectories. And she altered mine. And so many others by illuminating our paths with her guiding light. She altered me with her extraordinary mentorship and sponsorship, her phenomenal instruction and teaching, and ultimately with her friendship. In the short 12 years we worked together, Deb helped me through the hard and necessary work involved in becoming the very best researcher, mentor, teacher I could ever have dreamt of becoming. Without her limitless willingness to guide and evaluate, listen and care, there's no way I ever would have achieved what I have. In the beginning of our work together, she did the very hard labor of showing me how very far below the bar I was unknowingly living. What was that said about critique a moment ago? I didn't even know I thought it was above the bar. I was so far below I couldn't see it. She helped. But she gave me the tools and then taught me how to use the tools to exceed that bar. She loved me when I flailed, and she loved me when I soared. She laughed with me and she held me accountable. Her devotion, her care, the determination, and meaningful and impactful investments that she made in me and all of her innumerable mentees inspired excellence in all of us. She inspired me, and I imagine, because you're here, she inspired me to be excellent in some very important way. And so I promise I'll pay it forward. I think we can agree there's never enough time. No matter how long we live, no matter our age at the end, the time on this earth with our precious people is always too brief. No matter how many times I said thank you, and I appreciate you, and you changed my life for the better in ways I could never, ever comprehend, it's not enough. And I always want to say it again. So because I have the gift and grace of this microphone today, I'm going to. Thank you, Deb. You showed up for me in ways that no one ever has or could. You changed my life in ways that I'll never fully comprehend. Thank you. So in God's honor, I promise to be really reckless. I will keep showing up. I will keep pushing and resisting and writing and mentoring and asking and teaching. And I will pay it forward all of the investments that she made in me. So tonight, raise a glass with me. Deb, safe passage, my dear friend. All who crossed your path are made stronger and better for it. You changed the world, you changed our lives, you illuminated our paths, you made the impossible possible. Thank you for changing us forever. For the better.
I'm Martin Van Dyke, and I'm speaking as a friend of Deb's. I didn't really know many details about her professional life because we were busy eating and traveling and drinking and laughing and carrying on. So, I knew that she was some person doing some important stuff somewhere, but I didn't really know that. I just didn't have details. But I did know from traveling with her that we're in the Yucatan in a rental car. There is one road. It goes from Tulum to Cancun, which is where we're staying. We go to Tulum, we're coming back on one road. She says we're lost. I know we're lost. She had the worst sense of direction. GPS was just coming out, and we had just heard about it, so we started mentioning that perhaps this would help her. Because apparently she would get lost when she was walking somewhere. Suddenly she would decide she was lost. We traveled all over. We were in Greece, we were in Spain. We were in Spain. She was formidable. She had just started doing dialysis. She wasn't very well versed in the entire process because it was brand new. She showed up in Spain with 14 boxes of dialysis supplies, and boom, off we go. Here we're doing this, we're going to a farmhouse up in the hill, and then we're doing that. I thought, wow, this is formidable. Like, I might have taken a little more time to figure it out, Oh, I do take risks. So. But Doug was like, this is not going to stop me. I am not changing anything. We are going to Spain. Let's go.
Yeah, that's it.
It was amazing. Yeah. I think that could be a Bowen trick.
Yeah.
I have eaten so much amazing and good food with her. I have cooked so much amazing and good food with her. The thing that stands out is she showed up at a potluck once with chocolate things that looked like paper bags. I don't know how it happened. No idea, and she never told us. But there were chocolate paper bags. She loved her family. She talked about her family. She loved her family on one side and down the other. And there's a lot of us here who just loved her up one side and down the other. And her generosity and her acceptance. And I think she learned that in grad school. I think they teach you that. I mean, I've never gone to grad school, so I couldn't be just thinking this. I think there's a good course. The other piece of information that I love about her and all of her colleagues here will be so happy that she made the decision that she did, but apparently at one point in her life, she was at a crossroads. And she wondered if she could go to grad school or if she could go to clown school. Yeah. I mean, imagine how different this whole thing would be if she Yeah, so there is a big hole in our friendship group. There are 2 holes in our friendship group because within 1 week, another one of our very dear and one of Deb's dear friends also left the planet. And there's holes, and we're just gonna have to get used to it because, here we are. And along with life is short, so shower the people who love their love. Tell everybody how you feel. Take advantage of that.
Hi, I'm Julie Howard, and Deb and I have been friends since we were 18.
she and I went to Montpelier together. And you can imagine my surprise in hearing all these career aspirations that she's way beyond achieved and all the awards and merits she has gained. Because when we were at school, thanks Lamar, she was talking about going to clown school. So much. So, she's in the Los Angeles Metropolis and stuff out in Massachusetts. And Deb was an unintentionally and accidentally intimidating friend to have because she had no ego and she would never brag or boast, but she was good at everything. So imagine my challenges to her self-esteem. She was on the crew team. She ran her dorm. I'm probably missing some stuff. She had this terrifying double major. She did research that involved injecting rats in the stomach. Wow. But luckily for me, we both love to sing. And we were both altos in the many choruses on campus. And we sang, speaking as a soccer mom, we were kind of like choral track team. So we went to a lot of places, and one of the most exciting was when we went to Columbia University. For some reason, she and I were driving to New York City in the middle of a horrendous snowstorm. And I didn't think we'd ever get there, but she drove. So despite her lack of the ability to have any direct sense of direction. So she was an absolutely fabulous singer, and some of you may know that, but she was great. We did a voice recital together. I somehow talked her into doing a voice recital, just the two of us, despite all of her other things that she had to do. And I found the tape when I was listening to it the other day, and I thought, wow, I sound really good. And I just realized, oh, that's Deb. She just had this purity, this clarity to her voice. There's never any chance that she was going to get off the pitch or anything. She was really, everywhere she sang, she did a great job. It was always fun to sing with her. It was really a lot of work, and it was a huge accomplishment. And I can't think of anybody I would have rather shared that with than them. I'll never forget it. I live in Maryland, so our visits were in Deborah, so few and far between. And speaking of similar to what Deb's brother said, do it now, because when my husband and I made this list of all our dream places we're going to go, we said, well, we have to see Deb. So do it now. She's always been a constant in my life. I know she'd be mad if I said I try to measure myself against her. Never come anywhere close, but she's sort of that voice in my head that says, yeah, that's the right thing to do, even if it's hard, especially when you're doing it for somebody else. I've always felt blessed that Deb was my friend. She was warm and fun and sweet, and she made me feel special. And that's the thing. She really listened to other people talking about this. She really listened. And always made me feel special. And not many people can do that, even close friends and some family. But that was one of her magic gifts. That, and I have to mention, I'm sure most of you have experienced the hug. Right? I mean, she had the best hug. We just couldn't feel more loved and warm and protected. I don't miss that. I just have to say, it's one thing. There's a Dutch priest who had a quote that I wanted to read. And he said, when we honestly ask ourselves which people in our lives mean the most to us, we often find it is those who, instead of giving advice, solutions, or cures, have chosen rather to share our pain and touch our wounds with warm and tender hands. And I know when I was going through some crises, that was there. She provided that for me, and I love her, and I will miss her forever. Thanks.
So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Diane Powers. I knew Deb for
30 years as a dear friend and also worked closely with her for 16 years. We were also racquetball partners for many years, and we competed together as a badminton doubles team at the 1998 Bay Games in Amsterdam. The goal was to make it past the first round, which we did. So one of the things I think that illustrates what an incredible person Deb is, and I think especially how she's able to see the potential in people. I first met her when she was a co-investigator on the study that I was working on. I was brand new in the field of research. I had no idea what I was doing. And she and I were going out to West Seattle High School to meet with the principal to ask him if he would let us do a survey with their students about smoking behavior. And we were on the West Seattle Bridge, and we're about halfway across, and I'm driving. And she asks me, you know, do you know what we're doing? And I looked at her, I glanced over, and I said, no, I don't. I know you did. And shortly after that, she offered me a job. And she told me she offered me the job because I was honest with her. That instead of trying to bullshit my way along with her, that I told her what was really true. And you know, who does that? Who hires someone who tells you they have absolutely no idea what they're doing? And you're like, you're the person for me. Then when I left my job as her project manager at the Hutch, she threw me a fabulous going away party. And so she hired an opera singer to come to the party to sing to us at the party. Who does that? Whenever I gave Deb a gift of produce from my garden or from my niece's lemon tree, she'd always make something with it, and then she would turn around and give me some of the things that she made. So I always knew when I gave her a gift that it was going to come back to me in some better way. She was going to do something and then it's going to come back to me. So I always knew that. I could, you know, think about this now. Let's see here. When we worked together and an undergraduate research assistant, and I mean any undergraduate research assistant, needed to use a car to accomplish something, Deb would just toss them the keys to her car without hesitation. Who does that? Who does that? Deb came to my abilities more than I did in the early days when we worked together, and I think a lot of people have talked about that. She really, I think, saw in people their true potential, and she pushed people hard to realize that. She was unrelenting in that. So one time she pushed me to speak at a research conference, even though I was afraid of public speaking. I got so upset with her that I told her F you in front of our entire research team. At least one of you was there. And she didn't fire me. And she didn't get upset with me or mad at me. She never, you know, she just said, okay, you're still gonna do it. Deb would invite everyone she crossed paths with, I mean, literally everyone, to dinner at her house. She and Linda might have planned to have a solo dinner or a dinner for 4 people, and Deb would show up for more people if she thought they needed to be fed. Who does that? Deb does that. Deb offered mentorship not only to developing academics, but to me and all of the staff she worked with. She created opportunities for staff without any advanced scientific training to be the first author on a manuscript. She didn't ghostwrite it for me or anyone else. She mentored me to develop the skills to write it myself. And I don't know any other faculty scientists who do that. Who does that? Many friends offer to pick each other up at the airport, but Deb went the extra mile to show up with a bag of groceries. Who does that? So these are just a few of the examples of the ways that Deb is extraordinary, and I know we all have more examples. Deb influenced the course of my life more than anyone else, and I know she played a major role in many of your lives as well.
Hello. My name is Harrison. I'm Deb's youngest nephew, and I'll be speaking first. I'd like to share just a little story about Deb and I's relationship. It was January 2014. We were in Chicago for Thanksgiving. Or no, it was November 2014. Apologize. We were in Chicago for Thanksgiving. My grandfather was at Northwestern getting treatment, and we were all staying in the city in my brother's apartment while he was away in Ohio with his wife's family. And Deb and Linda got put up in the bedroom while me, my sister and her husband, and my other brother Josh, and my mom were all in the living room trying to sleep. And it was about 1 a.m, and I'm still awake, I have problems sleeping, and I'm on my phone, I'm doing something. Deb wanders out of the bedroom, not looking for like a glass of water or the bathroom, just wanders out looking for company and sees me awake. And she says, "Oh, you're still awake." And I say, "Oh, you're still awake." And we begin talking, and it gets philosophical, and it goes in depth, and she's giving me advice about my life, and she's asking me these strange questions about myself and I'm interested in, and really getting to know me. And we had a close relationship before them, but here something was really developing, and we're talking, and everyone's sleeping, and we're just so connected with one another that we're not even thinking about those other people. And my sister's husband, Peter, the gentleman with the red beard, who at work at 8 o'clock in the morning goes, "Will you guys please be quiet?" And Deb goes, "Oh, good night." Just wanders back into the bedroom. And to me, that is who Deb is. She's socially unaware, but is completely willing to sit down with you, get to know you, ask you questions, be there with you, show you the love, warmth, and compassion, hospitality that is so unheard of a lot of the time these days. A kindness and a beauty of a woman that we all have had the grace to know. And, you know, I only have a little bit of time, but I love her so much. And beautiful woman. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Joshua. I am Deborah's nephew. And what I would like to speak about her is how devoted of a person she was to the people that she cared about, the people that she mentored, the people that were so important to her. And I can definitely vouch for that. I remember back then in high school, my junior year, I had struggled to think about what I was going to plan for my future, what college I was going to attend. And I just remember the anxiety of thinking about what that path might be. And my Aunt Debbie traveled several miles, all the way in Illinois, to come with me and travel to some of those college campuses that I wasn't even sure I was going to attend. But she made that effort to travel with me and come to these campuses, learn about what they could offer, speak with the professors that were going to teach me, and just get that feel for if that environment was the right environment for me. And that campus that she ended up traveling with me was the campus that I chose to time college at Eastern Illinois University. She spent hours just walking across the campus, checking out every single building that I was going to go to for my lecture halls. She spoke with every teacher that was going to teach me and lecture me. It was almost as if she was trying to build her trust in school as well. See if it was a place that was worth teaching somebody like me. And that's what she did. She was that kind of selfless human being who would be there for me and help me, and she always continued to be that person when I looked into master's programs too as well. As I was about to graduate, she would spend hours with me going over my cover letters to make sure I presented myself very well professionally and academically, and she always had confidence in me and saying that I was going to be successful in the future. And that was her. She always believed in me, just like everybody in my family does, just like my mother does, just like my uncle does, and just like my grandfather did. She was one of a kind. She was really special, and I miss her right now. And I really thank you all for being here, and thank you so much.
Deb was a real life Wonder Woman. Deb was the best role model for what a man should be. As an aunt, she inspired me to be cooler than mom, but just as influential. I was lucky enough to visit, especially in my early 20s. Deb's view of the world were inspiring and thought-provoking. Her wisdom and knowledge was abundant. Deb created memories. She always went out of her way to plan activities. She filled our time with laughs, love, and genuine conversations. We would grow to cherish and talk of these memories for years to go. Some notable memories include many burlesque shows. Meadery and brewery tours, knife skills class, William Sonoma, unicorn brunch complete with jello shots. And of course, delicious and unique cuisine made with love from Deb. Deb celebrated life. She embraced relationships and focused on what is truly important. I know her spirit was not in me, just like she does all of you. Thanks.
Once again, I'm Connor. I didn't ask to speak twice. I'm maybe the luckiest person here to get to. I think a lot about the gifts that Deb and Linda have provided for us through the years. I just learned tonight we bought us a house. Crazy. Thank you. Growing up, my mom said we were so broke we lived off beans. It was very generous for you. such a good listener, and it was like they knew who we were more than we knew ourselves. I feel like Deb probably knew things about me that I'll never know about myself. One of my favorite gifts when I was 8 years old, they gave me a toupee. Not for my head, but for my chest. So I think they knew I wanted to be a man. Yeah, they just sent me to the bathroom and told me to put it on. Yeah. And then some really special gifts. They've given me 2 paella pans, which I don't know how they knew I liked paella. They saw me eating rice, or I talked about Spain. But those are really special to me because I really did. I do like cooking, and Deb and I made paella together once one Christmas, and it was really a special memory for me. And more so, this last Christmas, we were here in Seattle during the awful storms. And there was a really special memory that I have watching Linda and Deb make paella together. And it was, excuse me, sorry. It was really special because Deb was such a wonderful cook, and I think everyone knew she was such a wonderful cook. And Linda is as well. But they had this special setup where Deb would sit at the island because she wasn't really able to cook so much anymore. And she would tell Linda what to do. I think Josh helped. But it was this really, I felt like a fly on the wall just observing like such a beautiful relationship and such a beautiful love between 2 people. And it's love that has always been really influential in my life and something that I've always seen as a really beautiful, beautiful relationship. And at the table when we were eating, I think we were all complimenting Linda so much on the paella. She did a great job. And she very calmly, without thinking about it, she said, well, Deb made it. And that was something that would stick with me. Because it really was so good.
My name's Ryan. I'm one of Deb's nephews, and can't thank you all enough for being here today and how great it's been hearing everybody's stories, memories of Deb, who has made such a huge impact on my life. Kind of thinking about the impact that Deb made on me. It's really a lot of the things that a lot of the previous kind of speakers have echoed, but one of the biggest one has been just the power of kind of questions and Deb's willingness to just sit there and ask questions without any sense of judgment or anything beyond just wanting to learn more about what that person's thinking. Just what makes them tick and what they're thinking about is one of the biggest things that I'll take away from Deb. Second is really just her selflessness. She, Kat mentioned my 5 and 2-year-olds at home couldn't make it for one of their baby showers. She catered and cooked the entire thing and was in the back and, didn't expect or want any recognition and worked harder than anyone to make sure that everyone had the best time there possible. And was, just back there working the hardest of anyone. And nobody knew she was back there, and she did not care, and she just made the best food for the party. So, really miss my Aunt Deb, and again, thank you everybody for being here.
My father is Kingston over here, and I have a couple of criticisms. One, oh, next up, we got tissues. Tissues. And second, you put me second to last, so I had to cry through all of that with no tissues. I had a hard time deciding what to talk about with that because I just have so many memories. And but one of the things I kept coming back to, which has been the theme of tonight, is Deb had so many layers and so many surprises. I remember when we first moved in with Deb, I have very faint memories of events I think about 3 or 4. And I remember my dad would regularly say, paging Dr. Bowen. And I thought, who's the doctor? Like, who's the doctor here? Because I didn't know what the doctor was. Now I thought, like, I don't know. But learning that Deb was a doctor, what, Deb's a doctor? Oh, okay. And then, you know, fast forward several years later, we're not living with her anymore. I'm around 11 or 12. And I forget how it came up in conversation, probably because of the derogatory use of the word in middle school and hearing it a lot. My mom said, you know, Deb and Linda are gay. And I went, Deb and Linda are gay? Now, you think after living with them and spending many years with them, going to their parties and meeting all their friends, that they'll not have been surprised, but somehow I didn't know. And it was that a beautiful layer of understanding Deb and understanding Linda and their relationship, like my brother Connor explained moments ago, and it was just beautiful. Fast forward about, let's say, a year or two later, and we go over to Deb and Linda's house, and they're making some sort of African dish with peanut butter in it, and I was like, Deb cooks? I don't know. About a year or two later, I went and had probably the same dish. I was like, how did you cook? Another surprise, right? My tastes have become refined. And Deb and Linda are still one of my favorite cooks. And I learned recently that apparently I was the one that used to confuse Deb and Linda for one person. I would say Deb and Linda is one person. So I really do need that. Deb and Linda really can't cook. And then you fast forward about another 6 years later, and I don't know how many years later, I had a baby. I had Isaac, my oldest, and we're in Boston visiting, and I'm looking around at pictures on their walls and realizing, you know, remembering the beautiful art, that same art hanging on the walls in Seattle, and loving this new house. And I see some pictures, and I'm like, Dad, why are there clown pictures on the wall? Who is this clown? He's like, that's Deb. And I'm like, Deb's a clown? Why did you not know this? I'm like, Deb's a clown. But I think maybe I have a run going on. Sorry, everyone. It's for me to take my medicine. I need to go soon. But probably one of the more meaningful surprises, and it's been a theme for sure this evening, was when I learned that Deb could sing. I don't know if I've really ever heard Deb sing in person except for once, unless, you know, singing Happy Birthday doesn't count. But when I was around 12, the Bowen family went to Yellowstone. It was a family trip. And the cousins all decided we were going to do a talent show. And at that point in my life, I had zero confidence in any talent that I may have possessed. Didn't really believe I had any. But I did know that I loved Sarah McLachlan. And I listened to Sarah McLachlan a lot. In fact, I think I listened to it the entire trip to Yellowstone. And I decided I was going to sing a song, but I did not want to sing a song in front of people. And my parents were like, well, just go ask Deb. Maybe Deb will sing with you. And I was like, why? Because I didn't know Deb sing. So she and I went out in the car together, you know, put on the album and listened to a song. And I listened to Deb out of thin air pull out a harmony. And I'd never heard that before in my life. And I thought, how does someone do that? And then that evening she sang with me. She
gave me that confidence. And to be honest, I don't even know how much she actually did sing, because as all of you have said, she wasn't about herself ever. She probably stood in the corner and whispered just enough to give me that confidence. And that fall, I tried out for chorus. Please be the altos. This sucks. And I thought, oh good, I can sing like Deb. Why did I have to go last? I'm sorry, Steve. Every time I sing, it brings me so much joy to know that I have Deb's voice.
My name is Kristen. Connie probably should have gone last. I want to share a few gifts that, like my are a few gifts that have given me throughout my life. Since the time that my family and I moved to Seattle, moved in with Deborah, there are a few people that I've known who have warm and caring and supportive as was. And I've certainly known very few people who have been so enthusiastic because of the support of the interests of myself and others. And I have a couple of examples I'd love to share. For my 10th birthday, Deb offered to take me on a trip to anywhere in the United States. I was 10 years old and obsessed with dinosaurs and wanted to go to Pittsburgh to see, and I don't know what, a specific skeleton from Carnelius. Gently steered me towards Washington, D.C., where there are dinosaurs and a few other points of interest. And thank you for that. There was quite a bit more in D.C. for a 10-year-old. She also gave me, Deborah gave me, the first copy of Hobbit that I've ever owned, which I sort of still have. I passed it to my daughter Allison, which I read to her actually as well several years ago now. It's a precious possession of mine for a man. She helped foster lifelong interests that I have seen science fiction to me about the house of Star Trek. So many other things. And the last thing I want to say, she knew about those gifts, and I was able to thank her for them. But another gift that I was never able to specifically thank her for, I want to say to all of you, as a person who has lived in various cultures for most of her life, the example of Deborah with the first queer people I was aware of. That's always going to be very meaningful to me, and I wish I had been able to tell her that. Thank you. I am the last speaker here tonight. So I do need to thank everyone for coming, and I'm sure there are a couple other things that I'm going to forget that I'm supposed to tell you all, but I do know I think there are questions. There's a QR code. And I think a music playlist as well that my sister helps put together, my sister and my dad. And yes, please enjoy the refreshments, mingle, and share your memories and celebrations. Thank you.